Hello and welcome back once again. Six Nations Week 3 just down the corner, but wait, it looks like too long these 2 weeks. Once again, I'm joined by Tom Varndell, of course, former England Wasps and Leicester Tigers. Tom, let's talk about that England-Scotland game, the Calcutta Cup. First up, 6-13. It was like 3-all for quite a lot, 50 minutes or so.
Yeah, it was very attritional. Obviously, the weather played a huge part. The wind was ridiculous. But both teams did very well. Very, very competitive. Some big tackles. Lots of defence. Not many passings. Not very, very expansive rugby. But yeah, it was a game of small margins. And obviously, Ellis Genge's try at the end was what set the teams apart.
How about his celebration at the end and his comment about to the media after the?
I think obviously Ellis wears his heart in his sleeve. He's quite an emotional guy. He's very hot-headed. He's calmed down a lot actually since his Bristol days. I played with him down at Bristol, and he was crazy. But that's what you get with Ellis. And I think there was a lot of emotion. The team came into a lot of criticism the week before. His interview post-match was interesting to say the least. But that's Ellis. He is. They call him the baby rhino. And he showed that when he scored that try.
Well, Baby Rhino might start this week against Ireland. We never know. We'll talk about the Ireland game. But before that, what do you think, Tom, in terms of Scotland's preparation? They're played 2, lost 2. I mean, what do you think about in terms of leadership of Stuart Hogg and in terms of tactic? Obviously, we talk about Finn Russell is not there.
I mean, the Stuart Hogg, I think he's actually been very good. Obviously, he had that mess up in week 1, which it did cost them the game, but I thought his performance was pretty good in tough conditions for a fullback. I think he did well, and I think he is leading very well, especially when he speaks to the press. Again, he's a very passionate guy. He plays with his heart on his sleeve, and obviously he played the extra at the weekend. And he scored the try, and he knows he's had a little bit of stick, but I think he has been leading very well. And Scotland actually have been very unlucky. They haven't been blown off the park at all. They've just come up against 2 very good sides, and they've been inches away from actually winning the game themselves. Obviously, the Finn Russell story keeps rolling on. There's been more press about it. I don't think that's going to go away anytime soon, and I don't think we're going to be seeing Finn Russell anytime soon as well in a Scotland shirt. So I think that Scotland have parked that in terms of their camp and what they're focusing on. But they're not a million miles off. They're not far off getting a win, and this week is massive for them in terms of playing Italy. It's pretty much the battle for the wooden spoon on paper. But I do feel that Scotland might upset someone else along before this tournament's finished.
Yeah, that's some momentum shifter if that happens. Let's have some analysis and stats on that previous game. If you look at the total passes, Tom, between both the teams, it's like nearly 150. And if you look at Ireland, Wales, that's over 600 passes. Obviously, the weather factor, but the turnover, if you can have a look at that, 6-1. That is where Sam Underhill and Tom Curry played a huge part.
Yeah, and there was a lot of chat before the game whether Curry should actually be playing, should he be starting, and I think that proves his points, proves Eddie's points, because the back row were massive in that game. Sam Underhill obviously manned the match, had a fantastic game, but Curry, he works tirelessly, but you don't really see all the work he does, but slowing down that breakdown in them sort of conditions was gold for England, because it kept Scotland from really building much momentum. But all the other stats, it's pretty much even. But the weather played a huge part, and like I say, Ellis Genge's try was the difference in the end.
Absolutely, indeed. Let's have a look at another recap about Ireland versus Wales. Now, it's always tough to play in Dublin, as we discussed in the Week 2 preview. But this game, Ireland really stood strong, but Wales too little too late.
Yeah, it was exactly that. And we did speak about the week before, saying, have Wales really been tested? Obviously, they had a good performance against Italy, but Ireland, we felt were a bit, they'd had a bit more pressure put on them. They had to come through a tough game, and they did that. And Ireland were a class above Wales. Wales didn't really look in the fight really until the end, and Ireland just had more in the locker. Wales will obviously kick on from that. They're a great side. They have the ability to score tries, but when the pressure came on, Ireland were the better side. Absolutely,
indeed. Let's have a look at these stats. Obviously, Ireland and Wales, look at the number of passes, 322 and 306. This is what we were talking about, Tom.
Yeah, definitely. And it was a very attacking game. There was a lot of expanse played by both sides, actually. But Ireland's quality was just brilliant. Cido Stander, again, another back rower.
2-in-2 man of the match performance.
Yeah, and again, they're just class. That back row plays such a huge part in terms of their dynamism around the park, their turnovers, their work rate. He was just second to none.
12 tackles in the second game and 26 tackles, around 20 tackles in the first game.
Yeah.
Do you think his shoulders are strong enough to face England?
I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are. He's missed. I mean, we spoke about it in the last show. He's just one of the most consistent players now in world rugby. He's probably one of the first names on the team sheet, and every single week he just gets up and keeps going again. They've had a nice week off. When I say week off, they've had no game. I'm sure they've trained very hard, but they'll be ready, and they know that this game against England is massive. For both teams. If England want to win the championship, if Ireland want to win the Grand Slam, then this is huge.
This is huge indeed. We'll be finding out within the 48 hours time whether Ireland, France. But before that, let's have another look in the final game of week 2, France versus Italy. Did Italy cause some problems? Did France take some, easy in that second half?
I think we all thought last week that France would pretty much steamroll Italy. But, we actually did speak about that Italy actually weren't that bad against Wales. Yes, there was a big score against them, but it was their finishing that let them down. Their actual gameplay, and when we looked at the stats, it was pretty even. It wasn't like they got blown off the park. And actually, in some of the parts, Italy were better than Wales. But France, you don't know what you're going to get. France can be unbelievable, or they can be pretty average. And in parts of that game, France were unbelievable when they were scoring their tries, and then other parts, they did let Italy get into it. And Italy have the ability to turn a game like that, to make scores from nothing, to keep themselves in a game if you allow them that time on the ball. And there was parts in that game where Italy, they did look good, and it's not going to be a walk in the park for Scotland against Italy.
Yeah, that's quite a different Italy which we saw in the week 2 compared to week 1. Obviously, in terms of attacking, you can see the domination in that opposite half, 64%, whereas French dominance was only 54%.
Yeah. I mean, Italy are not a bad side. They've got some quality forwards. They're strong in their set piece. And if they've got time in their backs, they will score tries. They can score tries. They've got the fullback from Wasps, who is playing for them and playing very, very well. Minotza, yeah, he's playing very, very well. And they have the ability to score some tries from anywhere. So Scotland will have to be very wary of the the Italians are getting better and better year on year out. I know they're always sitting around the bottom, but they are improving steadily, and they do have that ability to score them some good tries.
Absolutely, as there's one change, Minotza playing in the wing than his fullback position. But talking about coach Smith's changes also paying dividend, and they're going to play their first game in Rome next week. Yeah,
and it's all to play for Italy. They don't want to be finishing bottom, and they have shown improvement as the games have gone on. They'll improve again. They're at home. It's going to be an interesting game, and for me, actually, it's going to be one of the most interesting games because, it is the battle for the wooden spoon, and it's all to play for. But I do see Italy improving steadily week in, week out, and I think it's going to be a big game this weekend.
Well, that's the recap of week 2 of the Guinness Six Nations. We'll take a break and we'll talk about the previews. Welcome back. So week 3 is just down the corner, and before we talk about the week 3 clashes, Tom, you played at Wasps under Dai Young. What a servant he has been for 9 years taking this Wasp. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, 9 years. Obviously, when Dai came to Wasps, I was there. So I was there in his first 2 or 3 years. I was there the year we didn't get paid a salary, and obviously Dai put his hand in his pocket as well and sorted the boys out. Month before Christmas, which was a bit, of a sensitive period in time, but he's been fantastic. The improvement there was obviously the first year we survived relegation, and they've steadily built and built and built. They've missed out, so many times on winning that league, and I think it's come out in the press that they needed a change of coach because obviously you can get stale, you can not lose interest, but the same voice hearing all the time. Sometimes the players don't tend to respond to that. And like you said, professional sport is ever changing. You need to change, you need to adapt, you need to grow. So it's, I don't know the full details, but obviously it's been a mutual decision that they've parted way. I'm sure Dai will be popping up very soon, maybe back in Wales potentially.
Maybe next Italy coach?
Yeah, maybe, yeah. So we shall see, but he's a fantastic coach and great man manager, big personality, and he's been fantastic for Wasps.
Yes, indeed. He's been fantastic for Wasps, serving 9 years. Let's talk about the first game, Italy's first home game, in fact, in Rome against Scotland. And how do you think that game going to comparing to the last 2 weeks?
We've already touched on it. I think obviously this is potentially the battle for the wooden spoon. Both Italy and Scotland, I think, have been unlucky. Obviously, Italy in their first game, their finishing ability was poor, and Wales just ran riot really. Scotland have had two pretty close losses. The weather played a huge part last time. They couldn't really get into their game, but they're not far off. But the difference is Italy are at home, and Italy, I do believe, have steadily improved by each game. And if Scotland's defence is not up to scratch, then Italy have the ability to score tries from anywhere. So this is going to be a tough one. This is going to be a tough one to call.
It is a tough one, and we are not really sure whether the legendary Sergio Parisi will have his farewell. Whether he may come off the bench, and the squad is not being announced yet.
Yeah, it'd be good to see him on because he has been such a great servant for Italian rugby, both in Italy itself, but also globally. He's an icon for the game, and he's helped grow the game in Italy. So it'd be great that he does get that final hurrah, I suppose, on home turf, and I'm sure he'll be involved in some way. If not this week, then later on in the tournament.
I got a funny feeling, Tom, Italy might pull a surprise here.
Yes, so do I. So do I. I actually think that Italy might get the win this week.
All right, what's your score prediction in that case?
It's going to be very close. I reckon it's going to be 26-18.
So Italy good to win with a bonus point.
Yes.
All right, so. You say 26-18. I would say probably, yeah. It should be a close game, maybe 15-19. We never know. All right, the other game on the same Saturday, it's going to be a big one. Can France continue their momentum and go for that championship title? It's all very difficult, especially when you play at Principality Stadium.
Yeah. See, I don't know with this one either. I mean, Wales, obviously back at home, they had a great first game. They weren't obviously up to standard last week. But France on the road, you just don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what you're going to get at all. I mean, France, they're very different under, obviously, Sean Edwards taking hold of the defence. But on the road, the French, it's a tough one. And the Principality is a tough place to go. Wales will want to be looking to bounce back, because if they bounce back, they know they're in for a shout of obviously winning it, the whole competition. But France is still chasing that Grand Slam. So we shall see. We shall see.
You spent 3 months with Scarlets underway and Pivac's coaching, and after, especially when you lose a game, what sort of inspiration that he brings into a team? He's
very calm. He's not one of the ones that shout and holler. He's very calm. Like I said before, he's a very good man manager, and he'll just be looking at the experienced guys in the squad, which is a lot of them, just sort of rally the troops and go back to the drawing board, look at where they went wrong. It's not like they lost against a poor team. Ireland are a very well-drilled team. They've been together quite a long time, and they'll know that they can kick on from here. They'll go back to week one where they were very clinical. They just weren't clinical last week. They came up against a very strong Irish outfit, and they'll know. They'll be looking at the French team, going, we have an opportunity here to bounce back. We're back at home. Get back on the horse, and I think they will. I think they'll get the win.
And the good news for Wales is that they are bringing Ross Moriarty in to get some physical insights to the team. Also, Davies starting at scrum half. But Dan Biggar, from the concussion, he had like 3 concussions in the last 5 months, 2 in the Rugby World Cup, but he has passed all the tests.
Yeah, so I mean that's great for the Wales. I mean we saw him again. We'll go back to week one. We saw him in week one how he just pulled the strings. His kicking game was on point. His passing game, we had a little bit of showboating as well with a pass through the legs. So.
How good was that between him and Alan Wynne-Jones, the skipper, that 1-2 pass?
Yeah. I mean, they've got a lot of experience in that team, and like I said, I think home advantage will be the key factor here. France on the road, I just don't see them being able to turn over Wales. If Wales get a good start, I think they'll get a good score as well.
Even I spoke to Matt Dawson last week, Tom. Even he said this Grand Slam is still not really sure. It could be anyone's championship, but not the Grand Slam. So. In terms of France, but they're still quite promising team. It's pretty much like, is it Sean Edwards versus Wales, or is it going to be France versus?
Well, it is a bit like Sean Edwards versus, Sean obviously was at Wales for so long. This would be, I think, quite an emotional time for him, because he's playing against these boys who he's worked with for a long, long time. He'll obviously want to get the win, and he'll know a lot about how Wales play and their attacking structures. So it could be interesting. It is a bit of a game of chess, I suppose. But France, they haven't played poorly. They played very well. They have played well. They've had a very good start to the campaign so far. I just think on the road, against Wales, who are a bit of a wounded animal looking to bounce back, I think Wales might get this one.
You think Wales might get this one? Let's talk about the French flair. We were talking about Anton Dupont, the halfback, and also Alrita at the number 8. Can this Wales, Tipurica and Davis coming in, can they match each other?
Yeah, I think they can. I think they can. It's the matchups across the whole park are very, very interesting. Obviously, and on the wing as well, you've got Josh Adams against Teddy Thomas. Both of these guys are playing very well, scoring some great tries. You know, if they can get their wingers away, that could be the difference in the game. I think it'll be very close, but I think it'll be high scoring. I think there'll be a lot of tries, but it will be very close.
Well, one final question on this game. Ken Owens, I know you didn't play in the front row, Tom. He just said that the French forwards or the pack might cheat.
Cheat?
Yes.
I wouldn't know anything about cheating. Like, it wouldn't be like a forward to cheat. I don't know. I mean, they talk about how they go in the scrum and the binding and pulling one, but I think that's just a Welsh forward having a little moan before, a bit of psychological warfare before the game. The French forwards are humongous. They are a big, the French are renowned for their big forwards, and this French team are especially big all over. So it's going to be a huge battle. Obviously, set piece always plays a huge role in any international. But for me, it's just there's matchups around the whole team, in the backs and the forwards. And it's a team that starts the game the best is going to be the team that win it.
Well, I think France do pip this 42 points to 36, let me say.
Oof.
It's going to be high scoring.
I think it's going to be 35-27 to Wales.
So you still stay in that bonus points range?
Yeah, I think it's going to be fair. 35-27 to Wales.
So that's about the Saturday game, and Sunday awaits for the big clash at Twickenham. Twickenham have been waiting for this international fixture, England versus Ireland. Both teams are won in week 2. How important this game, especially for Ireland, to keep the Grand Slam hopes?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for Ireland, it's massive, and it probably would be their hardest test so far. Obviously, playing England at Twickenham, but they've done it before. They've gone there before, and they've won there before. So a lot of these players will take confidence from that. With England have had a bit of a stuttering start so far. Obviously, they lost the opening game. Last week, it was a very close game against Scotland in tough conditions, but really, I think Scotland went toe-to-toe with them the whole way through. So there is a little bit of, there's question marks hanging over England at the moment because they haven't really fired on all cylinders yet. Ireland, on the other hand, I thought they were very, very good against Wales. Like they were class. In the first game, again, there was question marks over their performance, but they kicked on, and I think they're progressing. They seem like a very balanced squad. A lot of experience, but they've got some great youth coming through as well. So for me, I think Ireland might do it. England will obviously be chomping at the bit to get out there to play in front of the Twickenham crowd, and that might be enough to help them give that extra boost. But for me, I just think at the moment on paper, Ireland are the more balanced, more settled squad.
But if you look at the English papers, England looks very favourite. Even today morning I read some articles.
Yeah, I know. And you probably say home advantage will probably push it over the line for England. But I just think at the moment Ireland look more balanced, more composed, just a bit more calm under pressure. Their execution is pretty much on point at the moment. Obviously, they still got room to improve, but I just feel if they can get this win at Twickenham, they will probably go on to win the Grand Slam.
And also, Tom, the other thing is after winning those 2 games, when you consider in terms of psychology, England, they know that they lost to France and they survived against Scotland in that tough condition. But in terms of mentality, I think Ireland have the
they definitely have the edge. Yeah, definitely have the edge. Exactly. They've got 2 wins. In their head, they'll be like, oh, we can improve better, we can get better, we've made these mistakes. They'll be looking at their performance, being probably very critical and going, we won, but we can do this better. So they'll know they can improve. Whereas England will be like, oh, we lost the first game. We just scraped by with Scotland. Mentally, it's going to have an effect. But the fact is at Twickenham, they'll be praying for some nicer weather as well this week.
Weather really doesn't really look good on Sunday. But Tom, talking about that scrum half position, when I was speaking to Matt Dawson, he said there's no one really to knock the door. So, but Willie Haynes might start again.
Yeah. Could do. Ben Youngs did come on. He did control things very well, and obviously they ended up getting the try, and the momentum carried on from there.
It's the reflection staying off the bench, and you're just watching the wind how it goes, because we saw that Haynes 2 or 3 kicks just went out on the full. So
Yeah.
he understood that, he read that well, and
Yeah.
he marshalled it.
Yeah, definitely. And Ben Youngs, like I say, he came on. He's very experienced. In a game like this, when you're playing Ireland, you need your experienced players, the guys who have been there and done it. Ben Youngs is one of them guys that have done that. Hines is a great player. He's amazing at club level, and when he's come into the England setup, he's obviously continued that form. But I think they might go with Benny at scrum half, just because he adds that little bit more experience. He understands sort of the weather. He understands Twickenham. He's played against it in these big games before, so I think they'll give him. And in terms of a leader as well, Benny is a leader. Like I say, he's got what 60, 70, 80 caps for England now, and he's someone you need to have in the squad.
How do you think the tight five will combine or compete between these two?
I don't think much will change in terms of England's selection. I think they'll stick to what they've been going with so far, especially in the back of the performance before. I think the back row were the difference in that last game. In terms of actually head-to-head, I think Ireland have the edge. I think they're just a bit more settled, and I think they've been playing a little bit more consistently. There hasn't been as many question marks over the Irish pack as there has with the England pack. Again, I think the weather might play a huge role, and it's going to be a battle of the back rows. But CJ Stander, he's been class, hasn't he? We've already spoke about him today, and he is just head and shoulders above every back row, I think, in the Northern Hemisphere at the moment.
And it's pretty much like the 80 minutes is going to rely on this, how these loose forwards play, how they make those tackles and the carries and the meters made, isn't it? If you look at even the France, again, already the man of the match for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, the back row, them, CJ Stander, Curry, getting over the ball, slowing down the opposition's ball, that's going to be key, because both these teams can attack. Both these teams have threats out wide. If they got a quick ball, they're on the front foot. Sexton and Farrell will just demand it and keep the corners and play, and pull these defences apart. So it's who can slow down that ball, make it a bit more of a fight at the breakdown on the floor. Whoever can do that will win the game.
You have played at Twickenham quite a lot of times, Tom. Regardless of the weather, how do you see, do you feel that attacking moment or the game, although whatever the weather happens, do you think there will be a slowdown or there will be still momentum in terms of attacking, running meters?
Oh, I think there'll be a lot of attacking. I mean, we looked at the stats previously, the Ireland-Wales game, how much attacking ball there was. In the week before that, how much the Irish were attacking as well. There's going to be a lot of attacking rugby. The England backline is full of attacking players. So it's going to be, if you've got likes of Johnny May on the pitch, Farrell, Ford, these are all attacking guys. They don't like to sit back in their pocket and just keep the corners. They want to get the ball in hand. They want to run. They've got very fast backs. It's the same with Ireland, and they've proven that already. They've been scoring loads of tries. So it's going to be an exciting game. This is going to be the game of the weekend, obviously. But again, it's going to be very close.
Well, like you said, I think Ireland might pip this game. 1917. What do you think, Tom?
I think it's going to be. I think it might be a bit tighter than that. I think it'll be 15-9.
15-9 in favour of Ireland.
15-9 in favour of Ireland. Yeah.
Wow. Well, have your say, have your comment. I hope there are two thoughts actually. Mind says something, heart says something, but we went with our guts. So we'll wait and see until Sunday afternoon who will win. Predict our scores, and we'll see you next week with more action.